and it's so loud. But Patrick, thank you very much for your help and the library's help.
My pleasure. Yep. Hope you all have a very nice evening.
Thank you. So yeah, we are not formally calling a meeting to order of the Officer Recruitment Subcommittee of the Racial Equity and Policing Commission, but we are visiting with Subcommittee member Darlene McDonald about the scope and kind of data collection aspects of the subcommittee's work. Just for the record, I'm Larry Schooler. I'm the kind of facilitator for the subcommittee, joined by, oh gosh, I'm going to say her last name wrong, but Lindsay Nicola. Lindsay Nicola from the mayor's office, and Hassan, whose last name I'm forgetting, but is a new intern for this Salt Lake City. And then Laurel Day, a resident, has joined us, and we appreciate her being here. So what I was going to do is just ask for Subcommittee member and Commissioner McDonald to share with us a little bit of her thought around what she feels the scope of this officer recruitment subcommittee should be, what it should focus on, and what data she would like to have in order to address some of those items. And so, Commissioner McDonald, if you would just share with me a little bit about what you're hoping for this subcommittee to accomplish, and then if you can, what would be some helpful data for us to collect to inform your work.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for allowing me to participate in the subcommittee. There are a few things that I would like to look at. First of all, I would like to look at the current data of demographics with the current police force, law enforcement in the city of Salt Lake. Demographics meaning gender, sex, education, ethnicity, race, color, whatever those criteria are, and just to see what the demographics are currently, and then what is our recruitment process and how we recruit officers. Do we recruit from certain areas? Do we recruit from universities? Do we recruit just, general public? How we try to increase diversity of the police force? Those are the things that I would like to look at and hope to be able to learn and offer input based upon current demographics. Because I have to admit, I just don't know what it is.
Fair enough. And just so I'm clear, it's demographics of the department as well as demographics of the population, or primarily the department?
The department. I pretty much know what the demographics of the population.
Yeah. So basically understanding the makeup of the department along those various lines. And then I also, go ahead.
Yeah, well, and I would also like to know if there is a current policy of wanting to increase diversity within law enforcement of Salt Lake City, because I honestly don't know that either. So, and not even just by race and color, but also by education. I really, really, really want to look at that, what the requirements are and how we recruit and how we can try to recruit. Well, I need to see what it is right now. I mean, if most of the population, if the highest education is high school, or is it 2-year college? Is it high school plus a certification? I mean, just what exactly does it look like? And then if there is a goal regarding the department, meaning is the department trying to recruit more educated officers or not? All of that. I want to look at all of it. So that's what I'm hoping to get out of it and learn and really just dive into, because there is data behind certain factors of recruitment, and I want to see if where we're sitting and where we stand, if we fit that data or not.
And I was just going to check a few assumptions when it comes to collecting data related to recruitment. So it would seem to me like, to the extent that there's any kind of written strategy, that might be something you'd want to see. If there's a budget associated with recruitment, understanding it and how those dollars are spent. If there are collateral materials or, ads that run on TV or radio or online, or just other materials that are used for the marketing effort. And then, from a little less tangible, concrete standpoint, hearing maybe from someone within the department about what you were just talking about, kind of what's the philosophy, what are the sort of stated goals or understood goals of the department as it relates to diversification.
Yes, yes, exactly. And also even looking at the current application process, because I am aware that certain questions on the application can impact what type of recruits you get. So I would like to look at the current application and what are the disqualifying questions to weed out certain candidates, but also even to not diversify the
Mm,
police force by asking certain types of questions.
interesting. Okay. Um, got it. And so just returning to the scope question, I think what I'm hearing is let's focus on, sort of strengthening, shoring up the efforts the department undertakes to recruit for new officers such that we would end up with hopefully a more diversified force. And let's remove barriers to diversity as well as look for opportunities to increase that diversity. Does that sound about right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
great. Yeah, I'm very excited to be associated with this conversation. I know I'm going to learn a lot about what it takes to, to find officers and recruit them and to convince talented folks to choose policing. I think it'll be a very interesting conversation. We may even, if this is of interest, it might be interesting to get some newish recruits, to speak to the subcommittee just about kind of what did it for them, how they initially found out about it, or had they thought about it since they were a child, or I don't know, just kind of a little bit of a Q&A might be something that would be of benefit. Um, anything else you would like us to kind of work on putting together for the subcommittee at this point?
For recruitment, there's nothing really that jumps out at me.
Hmm.
I mean, that was pretty broad there. I can't really think of anything else at the moment.
It goes without saying, but obviously anything that you think of once we're finished with this conversation, you're welcome to share with me and with the staff, and we can get to work on that. Um, there was one aspect of our agenda tonight that related to kind of logistics and nuts and bolts, and I just wanted to ask you about it. We as a team of facilitators and staff were thinking that this feels like the right time for the subcommittees to really get to work. And so we were talking internally about the idea of maybe having a couple of subcommittee meetings in successive weeks rather than flip-flopping right now between subcommittee commission, because we're not really sure, other than maybe the public engagement listening strategy, we weren't really sure how much we would want to put on a full commission meeting agenda at this point, because a lot of that ought to bubble up from what's coming out of the subcommittees.
Mhm.
So wanted to see, first of all, if, I guess, a few things. Number one, is that something that makes sense for you in terms of, say, next week trying to have a subcommittee meeting as opposed to a full commission meeting?
It makes sense to have a subcommittee meeting, but I am not going to commit to next week because of the election.
Yes, you're the third person that's said or written that. So that's
Yeah.
very well taken. Let me just make a note here. Next meeting, day after world comes. Day after election. Um, Yes, no, I take that very seriously. We've, like I said, had two other commissioners reach out to that effect. So it sounds like conceptually, yes, let's keep the subcommittee work going, but let's be sensible about the timing. And in that same spirit, if we were to meet on Wednesdays, the following Wednesday would actually be a holiday. It's Veterans Day, November the 11th. And I
Yeah.
think there was some discomfort among some of us around having a formal city
Yeah.
meeting on that date. And so I wanted to ask you, would you be potentially amenable to, say, the day before or after? Slight preference for after, I think, amongst the staff.
Yeah, I should be fine the day before. I'm actually not working Veterans Day, which is like the only holiday until New Year's that I won't be working.
Wow.
So I'm gonna take that day and give myself a break.
You very well should.
Yeah. So the day before will be fine for me.
Okay. So, so I'll say don't meet on November 11th, maybe November 10. Okay. And I think that we should, I say we, meaning the folks on the coordinating side, we should really, I think, be as um, flexible in our thinking about when these subcommittee meetings should occur as you all need us to be. There's no reason they have to be at 4 o'clock on a given day or 5 o'clock. We want to, obviously, we know people work during the day in large measure, but we just want to do something that's convenient. So it's possible we'll need to just do another poll to figure out a time, because I think I got a couple of notes from my colleagues that at least one of our committee members went to another subcommittee at the same time. And so I think we need to account for that. So we talked about Veterans Day. We talked about having the subcommittee meet kind of next. Can you share with me kind of just your limitations on scheduling, meaning like, you never could really make a meeting because of work or other obligations at this block of time, but you're sort of potentially available at others or anything like that?
Um, During the daytime hours, it's hard because it really just depends on whether or not there's well somebody's computer system had collapsed or something and I just can't do it. So it's harder for me to say, yes, I can absolutely make a meeting at 11 o'clock or 10 o'clock or I can't make that promise because during the work time. This is actually a good time for me.
Okay.
Anytime after 4 is good for me. Um, I do have another meeting outside of this on Thursdays at 7. So that would not work for me. But everything else is pretty open after 4 p.m.
After 4. And so other than that Thursday 7, there's not any other date specific kind of standing obligations after 4. Okay, great. And obviously we want to respect, family time and downtime and all that sort of thing. But
Oh, what's that?
um, great. Okay. Well, like I said, I think we'll just want to circle back up with the rest of the committee members. And I mean, obviously with Verona's issue, that's,
Yeah, I
God
think I know
forbid.
what she's referring to.
Yeah.
Yeah, a very, very, yeah, sad death happened yesterday.
Yeah. Um, so I think, I mean, unless, Lindsay feels otherwise, I feel like we'll probably just leave it there for now. We can certainly circle back both to let you know kind of what some of the things that you were asking about, I think we may already have pretty well in hand, like some of the data about the department. I'm not sure, I won't swear to it, but I've been looking through our sort of treasure trove of information today, and I just have the sense that some of that might be easier to find. But at any rate, we'll circle back on that, of course, but also to just sort of figure out the best possible time for this particular subcommittee, um, because I think that we're going to probably run into an issue because we've got folks that have wanted to be part of multiple subs, which is absolutely fine, but we hate for them to have to miss one conversation over another. Lindsay, anything else you wanted to add, or Hassan or Darlene, and of course Laurel, if there's anything you wanted to throw in?
I'm good.
Well, even though we only had one commissioner, we got a little bit of important business done here, I think, just in terms of teasing out some of what you'd like to accomplish as a member of this subcommittee. So I really appreciate your taking the time to be part of this conversation and giving us that. And, hopefully we'll get on track here in the next week or so. And Laurel, thank you very much again for taking some time out to be with us. And hopefully there'll be some way for you to assist as a kind-hearted volunteer. And Hassan, welcome to your internship. And Lindsay, of course, thanks for everything you do for the city. So without objection, I think I'll go ahead and stop the